Good afternoon and good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's virtual UQIDAR 3-minute thesis competition. My name is Annalise Berglund and I'm the Manager of Engagement and Development in the UQ Graduate School. I'd like to take this chance to acknowledge the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands on which we meet today and pay my respects to their ancestors and their descendants. On behalf of the University of Queensland, I pay our respects to their ancestors and their descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. I would also like to acknowledge Professor Helen Claby, Dean of the Graduate School at UQ, Professor Needy Jain, Professor in charge of the Academy of IITD, Dr. Jessica Gallagher, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Global Engagement and Entrepreneurship, UQ, members of the UQIDAR 3MT judging panel, 2021 UQIDAR 3MT finalists, UQ and IITD colleagues and students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would now like to introduce Dr. Jessica Gallagher, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Global Engagement and Entrepreneurship at the University of Queensland, who'll provide a welcome address. Thank you, Dr. Gallagher. Jess, if I can just ask you to unmute your...
Thank you, Annalise. You think that we would all have this down by now. We've been doing Zoom so much, but the mute button always still gets in the way. But thank you so much. I just wanted to say good morning to our Delhi-based colleagues and PhD candidates, and good afternoon to colleagues and students joining us from Brisbane. As Annalise indicated, my name is Jess Gallagher. I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Global Engagement and Entrepreneurship here at the University of Queensland. I too would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners and their custodianships of the lands where UQ stands. We pay respects to the elders, past, present and emerging, who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. It's inspiring. Welcome to the virtual UQIDAR 3-minute thesis competition. Today is one of those days where I would have very much preferred that we were all together in one room, and it's something that we have looked forward to as a significant item on our annual calendar, as this global competition is an important celebration of the exciting discoveries made by some of our brightest research higher degree and PhD students involved in our joint UQIDAR Academy of Research. It's inspiring to see our students embrace the opportunity to participate in the 3-minute thesis, also known as 3MT. Thank you for dedicating your time to solving some of the world's most urgent challenges, but to taking on this particular challenge of having to prepare a very short overview of the significance of your research activity. As somebody who's spent many years working on a doctorate, I know that it's no small feat to condense years of research into 180 seconds. But in today's fast-paced world, we know that being able to articulate and get a message across quickly is incredibly important, as well as being able to signpost the significance of your research to a general audience. The 3MT competition is designed to provide you with the tools to hone your communication skills, to build your confidence, and to be adaptable. I have no doubt that these skills will put you in good stead to become future leaders in any of your chosen sectors and professions. On a personal note, it's been incredibly rewarding to see the Academy of Research grow over the past 3 years. UQ and the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, first established the Academy in 2018. And despite the challenges of a global pandemic, UQIDAR now boasts a student body of more than 70 PhD candidates working with our outstanding researchers from both institutions. Both UQ and IITD share a mutual goal in finding solutions to some of the world's most pressing challenges, and in doing so, fostering better health outcomes, creating sustainable farming practices, improving better water quality, looking at some of the politics and social constructs that we need to look at in order to have a healthier and happier future. These areas feature in today's 3-minute thesis competition and are testament to our collective strengths in transformative research for a sustainable future. Before I finish, I would like to wish all of today's competitors all the best of luck with their pitches. Regardless of who takes the top prize, I hope that you found involvement in this event to be a valuable opportunity, and that you see it as a step to further sharing your knowledge, to taking on feedback, and to forming valuable connections with your peers. I'm very eager to hear the pitches today and learn more about how you're working to create a healthier, happier, and more innovative world. I'll now hand back to Annalise from the Graduate School, but thank you so much and all the best for today.
Thanks so much, Jess. Hopefully one day soon we'll all be doing this in person. This is the second UQIDAR 3MT and we're thrilled to have everybody here again today, but to share Jess' sentiments, hopefully one day we can all do this as a live competition. I'd now like to take this opportunity to introduce Miss Belinda Byrne, the Director of the UQ Graduate School, who'll provide an overview of the history of the competition, our judging criteria, and also the prizes. Thanks so much, Belinda.
Thanks, Annalise, and good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to give a quick outline of this really great competition, and thanks to everyone for taking part. So, competition overview. So, the 3MT, as we heard, really celebrates research conducted by PhD students, and it was developed here at UQ a little while ago now, but the exercise is to really cultivate that academic presentation and those communication skills. So it's a great opportunity to effectively explain research for the average person and its significance in that 3-minute time period. So it's globally recognised now. So this competition has gone around the world. 900 institutions now hold a 3MT in more than 85 countries. So that's really great. In 2020 and 2021, the UQIDAR 3MT, we are moved obviously to a virtual format due to COVID-19, and each student has been required to pre-record the presentation for consideration by the judges. So the rules. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and competitors exceeding 3 minutes are disqualified. Presentations are considered to have commenced when the presenter starts speaking, and that's not the start of the video. A single static slide is permitted, but this needs to be visible continuously, or it can be cut to for a maximum of 1 minute. The 3MT audio, it must be continuous, so no sound effects or breaks, no props, so costumes, musical instruments, equipment and animals and animated backgrounds, none of those are permitted, unfortunately. No poems, rap or songs, it must be in the spoken word only. No additional electronic media either, just the presenter. Just a note that competitors aren't going to be judged on the quality or the editing of the video. The judges really did focus on the presentation, the ability to communicate the research, and the slide. So the criteria, there's two main categories of criteria that we look at, so comprehension and content. So the presentation must provide a clear background and significance of the research question, must clearly describe the research strategy, design, the results of the research, and the presentation must also clearly describe any conclusions, outcomes, and the impact. So those are the things judges are looking for on that frame. The other side of things is the engagement communication. So obviously the way it was delivered, is the language appropriate for a non-specialist audience to understand that research? Was the slide really well defined, and did it enhance the presentation? And did the presenter convey enthusiasm? So did they leave the audience wanting to learn more about that particular project? So those are the things the judges are looking at. Prizes, we've got some really great prizes available, and you'll eagerly await to hear who's going to be awarded these, I'm sure. So the winner will receive a $500 research grant, and the runner-up a $300 research grant. But an important aspect of the competition will be the People's Choice Award. So following the presentations today, stay on the line, because you, our audience, are going to be asked to vote for who you think gave the most convincing 3MT presentation. So you'll have instructions there on how to vote, and at the end of the session today, you'll find out who the People's Choice winner was, and they'll receive a $200 research grant as well. So I'll now hand back to Annalise to kick us off. Thank you very much, and good luck, everyone.
Thanks so much, Belinda. I'd now like to introduce a group who obviously know the judging criteria exceptionally well, having taken part in the judging panel. Professor Helen Claby, Dean of the Graduate School at the University of Queensland, Professor Purnima Singh, Department of Humanities and Social Science at IITD, Professor Ali Haider, Department of Chemical Engineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi as well. So thank you so much to our judging panel, and if you'd like to turn on your microphones and your cameras for us just for a moment. Thank you so much for taking part in our judging today. And we'll now introduce the finalists. So now we proceed to the most exciting element of our 3MT event, our student presentations. So the running order of the 7 finalists was drawn at random, and we will now commence viewing of the presentations. Best of luck to all our competitors. Good luck. So the first video we have is Manush Kumar Sharma of Synthesis and Applications of Non-Viral Gene Vectors.
My thesis title is Synthesis and Applications of Non-Viral Gene Vectors. Vectors are the carriers. To transport the genetic material inside the cell, we need carriers. Carriers are classified into 2 categories: virus-based carriers, non-viral carriers. At present, the very hot topic is COVID-19 vaccine. Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine uses common cold virus to deliver the genetic material of vaccine inside the cell. On the other hand, Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine uses liposome, which is non-viral, to transport the genetic material inside the cell. Both type of carriers have their own advantages and limitations. Virus-based carriers have high transfection efficacy, but the problem associated with the viral-based carriers are high immunogenicity, biosafety hazards, and a limitation to deliver the larger size DNA molecules. Whereas the non-viral vectors have some advantages over the viral-based vectors. It have low immunogenicity, easily manufactured and scalable in the laboratory, and can deliver the larger size DNA molecule inside the cell very easily, and no biosafety hazards associated with the non-viral vectors. So come to the point, how gene delivery happens. We use a plasmid DNA to incorporate the gene inside it. The gene can be a healthy gene to replace the problematic gene of disease, or it can be the gene to represent the spikes of the viruses. When we incorporate the gene inside the plasmid DNA, we need a carrier. If we inject the DNA without a carrier, it can degrade easily and shows very low transfection efficacy. But we believed that if we use a nanoparticle, the surface of a nanoparticle have a tendency to protect the DNA molecule from degradation before reaching the cytosol of the cell. But the story not ends here. The cell have its own mechanism to kill the invaders. It entrapped the genetic material inside the endosomal compartment. We impart some properties to our nanoparticle to surpass that entrapment and release the DNA molecules inside the cell. From there, these DNA molecule reaches inside the nucleus where they represent their proteins. And in case of vaccine, they represent the antigens, which is represented over.
Thank you so much, Manoj. I'd now like to introduce the presentation for Puneet Dia, Development of Neuroimaging Method to Study Spatial Temporal Dynamics of Epileptic Brain Activity in Epileptic Patients. Thank you, Puneet.
Imagine somewhere you have seen that someone suddenly fall to the ground and you admitted that person to the hospital. Later you came to know that the person is suffering from epilepsy. What is epilepsy? Epilepsy is a neurological brain disorder affecting approximately 50 million people worldwide due to abnormal brain activity known as seizure. If epilepsy is not curable through medicine, then surgery may be recommended. In a surgical case, a patient goes through several rigorous stages of pre-surgical evaluation to make a final decision about the resection of brain area responsible for the cause of epilepsy. But why these rigorous stages? Because different brain areas responsible for speech production, body movements, memories, and other human behaviors are what makes us unique human beings. These behaviors can be disrupted by epileptic activity. So in order to preserve these brain areas, I need to look at how the epileptic area affects them. The brain is not just a simple collection of processing units like a computer. It has many specialized areas that drive human behaviors. That's why I wanted to study this domain. In my PhD research work, I have developed the first novel data-driven computational neuroimaging method to map widespread abnormal brain activity dynamically in time and space. This method analyzes the entire brain scan of an epileptic patient to discover when and where the epileptic area and other affected areas of the brain were activated during the course of abnormal brain activity. This method considers the dynamic nature of the brain compared to the conventional method, because conventional method assumes that the brain activity remains constant over a period of time, which limits the undiscovered area of the brain. My preliminary studies show not only the brain area responsible for epilepsy, but also identify large-scale distributed networks ranging from cortex to deep cortical areas. These brain areas are sometimes not seen using the conventional method. This method has potential application in clinical setting from a network perspective to investigate how a potential surgical epileptic area modulates other areas of the brain. But again, why? Because this way it may help to preserve other brain areas crucial for human behavior by prescribing a targeted medicine or a good post-surgical outcome. I believe that this could be a commendable body of knowledge that may alleviate the suffering of an epileptic brain disorder that impacts human life. We are in the beginning stages of how the epileptic brain works, and this knowledge may be helpful to the development of therapies in near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Puneet. I'd now like to introduce Urbi Kundu with identification of transgenic plant species using non-invasive THC spectroscopy for advancing natural and organic farming practices. Thank you, Urbi.
Hello everyone. Do you remember going to the theatres? Watching a movie with friends while munching on popcorn? Did you ever wonder if that corn was genetically modified or not? Well, thanks to science, we can figure that out. But the available techniques are a bit tedious. Sample preparation is a pain and they're not easy to use. So, we are developing a rapid screening technique using a less explored but highly promising region of the electromagnetic spectrum known as the terahertz waves. Terahertz scanning is a rapid technique which doesn't harm the plant. It is very sensitive and can detect the minutest change within the plant. Sample preparation is easy and it is very sensitive to water, which makes my job easy because water is one of the main components within the plant cells, and I can use the water itself to probe my samples. So, how does this work? I took different types of plants and I studied the same type of tissues from these plants. Basically, I took the leaves of these plants and I peeled off a layer of cells from them. I studied the interaction of the terahertz waves with these cells over a period of time to know how does the evaporation rate determine the difference in the biomolecular composition inside it. To give you an analogy, these cells are basically water-filled cloth bags that contain balls of different shapes, sizes, and colors. These are the biomolecules. And the difference between a genetically modified crop and the wild type would be these biomolecules. Because of these, the amount of water present in the cell as well as the rate of evaporation differs. By using terahertz, I was able to determine that the rate of evaporation is dependent on the cell size, the cell composition, as well as the volumetric water present in it. These are the three main parameters that differentiate a genetically modified cell from its wild cousin. So I can successfully say that terahertz is an effective technique to discriminate between a genetically modified crop and its wild variety using these parameters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Urbi. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker. Our next presentation is Marut Jain with Petrochemical Refinery Wastewater Treatment using Waste Residues. Thank you, Marut.
Hello everyone. We all know that petrol and diesel are the inevitable part of our life. But along with its benefits, it comes with a series of challenges of its own. Petrochemical refineries produces an excessive amount of hazardous chemicals in the effluent streams, which have been a concern in the waste management and sustainability perspective. As the need of the hour, the removal of these toxic chemicals like phenol becomes vital, as phenols are the known compounds that are non-degradable and carcinogenic in nature. Phenols are present in wastewater from few milligrams to around 7,000 milligrams per liter. Hence, our study is focused on the development of a low-cost and green adsorbent for the removal of phenols from the petrochemical refinery wastewater. For this, we are using graphene oxide along with agro-waste residues and the bio-waste products. In the agro-waste residues, we are using rice husk, rice straw and bagasse. In the bio-waste product, we are using the cattle dung. By combining these materials, we will form a novel hybrid material in the form of aerogel. Now, what is the aerogel? Aerogel is a three-dimensional, highly porous material like a gel, in which the liquid component of the gel is replaced by the air. This aerogel will be used for the wastewater treatment. The overall project has been divided into the 5 major parts. First part comprises of the synthesis of novel hybrid material that I discussed. Second part is the characterization and structural analysis of the compound. Third part is the laboratory scale wastewater treatment system. And fourth, that is the major part of this project, is the real world petrochemical refinery wastewater treatment using the synthesized aerogel. In the fifth and last part, the adsorbent will be regenerated for its reuse for the same purpose. So the overall objective of the project is waste to wastewater treatment. In Rigveda also, it is said that water is the source of happiness, health, energy, and life-giving as mother. Therefore, it is our fundamental duty to save a single drop of water around us. Save water for you, save water for your future, and ultimately it will save our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marut. I'd now like to introduce Indu-Priya Babu with structural basis of emotion and cognition processes in patient with refractory epilepsies. Thank you, Indu-Priya.
Be positive. You might have come across this phrase a number of times in your life. But have you ever thought, what if being positive is the only available option for you? A world full of roses? Is that what you see? Does that mean thorns don't exist in your world? Unfortunately, they do. Our well-developed emotional brain is evolutionarily adapted to see both positive and negative emotions for a reason. It helps us to decide whether you have to fight or flight. Now you imagine a person who has an inherent deficiency in understanding these emotional processes. How does it affect their day-to-day life? Or how do you even study such process? This is what exactly my research is trying to understand. We are looking at a patient who is suffering from epilepsy, a neurological condition, and undergo brain surgery, especially in medial temporal lobe structures, which is considered a seat of emotions. We have done a pilot study on 10 such patients. Using carefully chosen emotional material, we try to understand how these processes are altered in these patients. From the slide, you can see that there is a positive bias towards neurostimuli. Yes, this is an alteration. Now the next question is, how this alteration affects other cognitive functions, for example, memory or decision making. Do you think a positive bias will lead a risky or impulsive decision making? A lot of studies reported a deficit in emotional memory in such patients. Factors like age, education, gender, or cognitive reserve may influence such processes further. My study will explore these interactions further. Understanding cognition and emotion interaction is a first step, it's a very first step to start a robust rehabilitation program. I hope my research will facilitate it further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Indu-Priya. And you can tell throughout the presentations the amount of work that has gone into putting these presentations together for these students. I would now like to introduce Kopal Mathur with talent allocation in the Indian economy, measurement and policy implications. Thank you, Kopal.
Scenario 1. Imagine you're born in the late 1970s and 80s. You go to school and get your education in the hopes of becoming a doctor. And in the year 1983, you enter the job market and get a doctor's job. Voila! This seems pretty straightforward, right? Now imagine another scenario where again you're born in the same era, you get the same education, and in the hopes of becoming a doctor, enter the job market. But are denied the opportunity of becoming one, and instead you're only offered a low-skilled job. Now, you might be thinking, what was the difference between the two scenarios? Given in both the scenarios, you had the same level of education or ability. In reality, there was one different characteristic. The person in scenario 1 was a male and belonged to a privileged social group, whereas in scenario 2, the person was a female belonging to a marginalized social group. Scenario 2 is where we observe the presence of talent misallocation, which is when individuals do not get an occupation according to their ability or talent. The Indian data shows that in 1983, there were 92% workers from the privileged social group working as scientists, architects, and engineers, as opposed to only 8% belonging to the marginalized social group. However, their share increased to 19% in 2012. So, why do we observe a decline in talent misallocation over time? Part 1 of my research aims at exploring the reasons behind this decline. In particular, my research conjectures that in 1983 there existed discrimination in the job market along with barriers in attaining higher level of education based on social identity. These barriers restricted the entry of talented workers from marginalized groups in high-skilled occupations. The contention of my research is not to state that these barriers disappeared, but to state that the extent of the barriers reduced over time. Preliminary findings suggest an overtime convergence in education and wage, thus indicating a decline in these barriers. To some extent, I also observe convergence in occupational choice of both groups, thus indicating that social identity and gender do matter in choosing occupations. But over the years, the truth of the phrase of being born into occupations is becoming less relevant. Literature suggests that for a developed nation such as America, a decline in these barriers explains as large as 40% of growth in their per person income output. So imagine how large would this number be for a developing nation such as India. Hence, in part 2 of Thesis, I aim to examine the productivity differences due to talent misallocation at the sectoral level. Many studies investigate the effect of these barriers separately, but only a few relate them with talent misallocation. My contribution would be to link these two together. The findings of my research will have the potential to influence the policies of resource allocation, which can help answer the critical question of why there exists disparity among living standards across nations.
Thank you so much, Kopal. I'd now like to introduce our final presentation for this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are. We have Sadaf Ayman Khan with development of bio-based silver nanoparticles for water disinfection. Thank you so much, Sadaf.
What is the first thing you did when you woke up this morning? Drinking, washing, bathing, chances are you used water. You cannot live without water. This is very easy to forget when clean water comes out of your tap. But for more than 2 billion people around the globe, this is not the case. Our Earth is the blue planet. It has more than 70% of its surface covered with water. But if we take all that water and fill it in a 4-liter jar and take a spoonful out of it, that is the amount of water available for use. The rest is salty, and most of it has become contaminated. Dirty water kills more people annually than a war. From diseases like cholera, jaundice, diarrhea, it contains harmful microorganisms, something that we cannot see through our naked eyes, but can cause harmful effects, just like coronavirus. Water needs to be disinfected before use. Chlorination is a method of disinfection, but it releases harmful reaction byproducts that can cause cancer. Since water disinfection cannot be compromised, we need to find an alternative solution. Every cloud has a silver lining. Well, yeah, literally, silver is the solution. Silver has been used since ages for its antimicrobial properties. My research is utilizing silver nanoparticles for water disinfection. If we take a hair strand and cut it vertically into 10,000 equal sections, then each section will fall in size of the nano range. The reason behind using nano form of silver than its bulk form is that for the same amount of silver, the nano form will have much more surface area exposed and hence a better interaction in dealing with the pollutants present in water. For example, if we take a carrot just the outer surface of it is exposed. But if we shred this garret, much more surface area gets exposed. In order to utilize the benefits of silver nanoparticles, we need to synthesize them. I am using the biological method of synthesis, as it is more advantageous over the physical and the chemical methods. It is rapid, simple, cost-effective, eco-friendly, and does not release harmful reaction byproducts. Fruit peel paste is used as a biological raw material in my research to prepare an extract that is used as a reducing agent for the bottom-up approach of the synthesis. No doubt, water disinfection is an integral part of the water treatment process to provide clean and safe supply of water to all. As we can certainly live without love, but not without water. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saraf. Now we're getting to the pointy end of the competition, and thank you again to all our competitors for today for competing. So now we come to the People's Choice component of today's competition. You'll soon see a pop-up on your screen with the list of participants and their project titles. Please select which one you believe was the best 3MT. There it is now. Presentation based on the judging criteria, and we'll leave this open for around 1 to 2 minutes. So once again, just to go through today's competitors, we have Manoj Kumar Sharma, Punit Deer, Urbi Kundu, Maruch Jain, Indupriya Babu, Kopa Mathur, and Saraf Amin Khan. I think they've all done an amazing job in today's presentation. I think it's really interesting with the 3-minute thesis competition last year and this year, our students have not only been able to work on their presentation skills, but they've also had to become keen videographers during this time and really work on how they can present their thesis, not just to an audience, but in a video as well, and use that for further promotion of their projects and their research as well. I know from speaking to a lot of our 3MT competitors last year and this year, the amount of work that goes into putting together one of these presentations is quite significant, not just in the videoing, but also the preparation and making sure it fits concisely into 3 minutes, going with the competition rules, which Belinda outlined earlier. So we're just looking further at the votes that are coming through. We'll keep it open for a few more minutes. So make sure you get your votes in. Some fantastic competitors today. All of them have done a lot of work, and we look forward to hopefully shortly presenting the winners. Just a reminder again that the competitors today are competing for prizes. The winner will be receiving a $500 research grant. The runner-up will also be receiving a $300 research grant. And the People's Choice will receive a $200 research grant as well. So quite significant prizes, and we're really looking forward to announcing those shortly. Just a few more minutes until we announce the winners. You still have time to get your votes in. So do make sure you hit one of the buttons, and we'll be announcing those shortly. All the votes are in, and we're just collating those as we speak. So we'll have them with you in just a moment. I know everyone's super excited. I know there's a lot of chatter here with where we're recording this afternoon. We're all really excited to announce who the winners are. And just a few more seconds. I've been given just a 2 more minutes indication from our technical support here in what I would say the studio, that just a few more seconds before we can hand over and announce the winners. I don't know about you, but the suspense is killing me because I haven't seen the results myself. So I'm going to be just as surprised as the rest of you when the winner is finally announced. So bear with us just for just a moment longer while we collate those votes. Just again, reminding you that the winner will receive a $500 research grant, the runner-up will receive a $300 research grant, and the People's Choice will win a $200 research grant. So we look forward to announcing those very shortly. So I've been given the thumbs up with just fantastic news. I would now like to introduce Professor Nidhi Jain, who is the professor in charge of the Academy at IITD, who will announce our winners for this afternoon. Thank you so much, Professor Jain.
Thank you so much. Very good morning and good afternoon to our esteemed panelists, judges, participants, and viewers in India and Australia. It is indeed a moment of immense pleasure and pride for me to be a part of this 3MT event. Just to give you a brief background and still retaining the suspense before the results are out. So it is really remarkable, that we are hosting this 3MT thesis event for the third time in the third year of our UQIDAR inception. So we are celebrating our third anniversary, and we are hosting this 3MT thesis event the third time. So, all the threes come together, and indeed, it's a lot of preparation and pre-planning that goes into organizing this event. So I would like to thank personally all the panelists, the judges for taking time out, reviewing all the speakers, and a lot of background preparation. Special mention for Georgia, Lauren, who have worked, to make things work to perfection. And all our viewers, audiences, this is really a thrilling event. And as you all know, the challenge here is that you have to present your research, your entire program, what you have achieved in just 3 minutes. So that is the challenge, and how you articulate your research, everything to a broad audience, and get it across them is really something which this platform wants to bring and wants to train our students for. So this is a very, very thrilling experience. The first 3MT was held physically at IIT Delhi, but the second and third have been virtual because of the COVID situation. But we hope that next year we again come back with this event, and that is a physical interaction, which makes it much more exciting. So once again, a special thanks. And I would also like to state that all the winners, I would not just the winners, but everyone who has participated, I would like to congratulate each of the participants. Because it's not easy, to come to this platform and deliver. And we're having a broad international audience, who all are voting for you, viewing you, and then appreciating your research. So you are the role models, for this UQIDAR. You are the flag bearers. And I applaud everyone and congratulate all the participants for this 3MT event. So without any more suspense, we can go forward. People's Choice 2021 goes to our dear student Marut Jain, who is working in Petrochemical Refinery wastewater treatment using waste residues. Congratulations, Marut. It's a big, big achievement coming just after you have received that PMRF, fellowship. So this is a second feather in your cap from this UQIDAR. I'm sure you must be excited. So big congratulations to Marut. He's been helping us with a lot of UQ activities, very active. So a big congratulations and applaud. Great.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So yes. Great. You want to say something else, Marut? How was this experience? The whole 3MT experience, a lot of learning.
Yes, it was very thrilling. I am highly thankful to hundreds of people who voted for me. Thank you for being there for me. Thanks to judges. Thanks to UQIDAR leadership team. Thanks to all of you.
Great, Marut. Congratulations. Keep doing better. Yeah. We come to the next category of award, which is the runner-up for 3MT 2021. So it's a very tough competition, let me tell you, because all our participants are extremely good, extraordinary, and it is very difficult. I believe for the judges must have been very, very difficult to choose the best, because as I said, the criteria which they have used for evaluation is not just the content of your research, but how you present that content in just 3 minutes to a broad audience. And that is only possible if you have actually connected with your work and done a thorough study and thorough understanding of what research you're actually doing. So it's not easy. So going to announce the runner-up for 3MT, and our winner this year is, you guess from the second, the Mathur, it's Kopal Mathur, who is working on talent allocation in the Indian economy, measurement and policy implications. Kopal, many, many congratulations to you. How are you feeling?
Thank you.
From you.
Thank you, Dr. Jain.
Were you expecting this? Were you expecting this? Were you sure, confident somewhere? You were kind of expecting this result? Yes, Kopal, we can hear you.
No, not really. Not really. Yeah, I actually agree. Like, making the script was I think the easiest part. I think editing and becoming a videographer is like, we have gained a new skill. But no, I enjoyed making the video and talking about my research, and I'm glad the judges liked my 3MT submission. It was a fun and challenging task, and I learned a lot. Thank you.
Great, Kopal. That was the idea. You are getting skilled and trained to new set of things which probably would not have been possible till you have you take this opportunity. So really happy for you. Very good, Kopal. We move on to our final prize. The winner for this year 2021 3MT thesis, and let's see who grabs this one, the big one. And the winner is Sadaf Ayman Khan, who is working on the development of bio-based silver nanoparticles for water disinfection. She's working with Professor K.K. Pant. And Sadaf, very glad. You've done a great job. Very happy for you. Can we have you on the screen, please, Sadaf? Sadaf, are you there?
Yes.
Many congratulations. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really happy. I don't know what to say. I'm really glad. I'm really glad that everyone has enjoyed my presentation, and I would like to thank my professors, my colleagues, my friends, my family who have supported me a lot in this, and because this year had been a really tough time for me. And I don't know, I'm so happy. I just can't say anything.
Any special thing you would like to mention, what you have learned from this entire exercise, because this is something very unique, this kind of platform which the UQIDAR is providing you, it's quite unique. So what have been your learnings? Yeah,
my learning is like, it contains so much of tech, it had so much of technicality, but I had to express my thing with I actually practiced it with my family members. I actually told them what is my research, and they were like questioning me back. What is this? What is that? And that time I learned, okay, this is not something that, this should be something that everybody could understand. So I use those examples to explain them, and that script I added in my videos. It's really a very big learning experience for me.
Great. And you get the reward for it, right?
Yeah.
Must be elated. Great. Congratulations, Sadaf. Very well done. I joined late. I had a class this morning. So Professor Ali Heather, Professor Purnima Singh, thank you so much. If you would like to convey to our participants, what is it that the criteria and the way you evaluated, and the scope for improvement, some feedback and comments that may be helpful to the future students as well.
So I guess probably I'll go first. What we were looking at in this competition, as it is mentioned, how you explain difficult concept to the audience, which is very general. So people don't know on the street about your research, and you get only 3 minutes, and that's called an elevator speech. In the US, when we go in the lift and somebody we meet and say, okay, what are you doing? And by the time you reach to the 5th floor, you have to explain what you are doing. And if you don't catch up the attention, you lose it. So that is the idea we are looking at in your research. All of you are doing amazing research. We can't comment on your research. You are doing in a very good academy. You are all very good students, the top quality students. So I have no doubt on that. But you have to see when it is coming out whether a layman can understand what you are saying. So this was the key part. And when you are using examples and stuff to correlate and explain somebody who doesn't understand research, for example, and you can explain your work, that was the key element which I was looking at, and that was probably the 3MT has a mandate for looking at that thing specifically. And you have to, second important thing I want to tell students is to follow instructions properly. So some of you are not following, did very good job, but you are using probably 2 slides, dates and all. It's also important that you maintain timings, and you don't, like the things which are mentioned in the instructions, not to take too many slides. You should not do that. So this is another learning, that you should follow instructions properly. In international presentations, it is extremely important. If you are given 15 minutes, you don't take 16 minutes. Okay, people get annoyed with that. And the slides has to be very clear. And if you are making slides also, my suggestion is that use original elements and nice graphics. These days that matters a lot. If you're using clip art and stuff and the figures are not that appealing, that also creates an impression in the mind of the audience. So that is another component which you should look at. You should make original and appealing graphics. That also carries a lot in science and academia these days. Earlier it wasn't, but nowadays pictures and graphics are very, very important. Thank you.
I think some very good suggestions. Our future participants will all take a note of it. We have the entire UQIDAR Academy with us, all the students who will be participating next year. So thank you, Professor Heather. Professor Helen Cleavis, sorry, how are you?
Good, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to see the wonderful work of the students. It's been fantastic to see them and to see their work. I mean, the real key behind this is impactful research. You're doing great work, and I was very struck by how important the work you're doing is for the community at large. And it's really important to be able to talk about your research, not only with your family and friends, but with government, with industry, and be able to also talk with your colleagues. So well done all. And we look forward to next year. The next year will be a challenge, even more challenge, I'd imagine, because you can't record it and hold a piece of paper up somewhere off screen to read off or anything like that. It's really going to be 3 minutes oral presentation. So that will be an extra challenge for contenders next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Klebe. We have Professor Purnima Singh with us.
Yeah, Nidhi.
Hi, Professor
Yes.
Singh.
Hi.
Yeah, I would like to have your words of advice for the students.
Yeah, certainly, Nidhi. I think it was a great opportunity to see the presentations of a wide spectrum of students. And for the first time, I was also going through certain presentations which were from science technology students. I mean, I have been, since I'm a psychologist and located in humanities and social sciences, that used to be my field. But, I was quite impressed. I thought it would all be jargon, but yes, some of the people have made excellent presentations. And I would agree, that when it comes to presentation, communication skills play a very major role. And when it comes to scientific communication, then brevity and how concisely you can present your argument, that probably is also very, very important. So let me tell you that when I was looking at all the videos, I was looking at how clear the presenter is about the research question and the kind of arguments one is making. And of course, then, further down, the flow in the whole of the presentation. So for me, when I'm evaluating a presentation, a good elaboration of the research question, then the flow, that probably matters quite a lot. And I'm happy to say that all of them have done a very good job. It was kind of very tough, but obviously you do take your call. And another thing which all of us should understand, especially the students, you should not be too verbose. If you are able to convey your arguments in very simple words, that could be understood even by a lay person like me when I was, going through the presentation made by, candidates from science technology streams. I think that goes a long way in kind of shaping the kind of future communications you would be making. One suggestion I would give, and that is also based on the suggestion of Professor Heather, that we need to have more, or maybe a workshop on how to make these PPTs. A lot of these people did really a good job. There were videos, there were, and as he said very rightly, if the whole world is now that of marketing, consumerism has got us. So if you are able to make a good PPT, I think that's very, very important. And how much verbose you should be and how much not. I think it would be a good idea to have one-day workshop on making good academic presentations, both in terms of what you are presenting and also how you're going to structure your PPT. And that will go a long way for all the students and all the candidates. So that's something I would suggest that if you could, try, that would be really very good. So thank you once again for giving me this opportunity. It was really nice to hear all the presentations and especially the ideas. Some of them were very interesting for me. And thank you. Thank you once again, the UQIDAR team and Nidhi for giving me this opportunity. And to all the presentations for doing an excellent job. You all are the winners because you have all taken that courage to come up and make a presentation to an audience. A 3-minute presentation, believe me, is the toughest. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Singh. We'll really keep your suggestion in mind and we'll improvise on it, work around that, and have our students much better prepared for next time with all the inputs and feedback received. Thank you so much, ma'am, Professor Heather, Professor Klebe, for sparing out time, and back to you. Thank you all. Once again, congratulations to all the winners.
Thank you so much, Professor Jain. My congratulations to all the competitors who've taken part in this year's competition, especially to our winners. It's very exciting. So Marut Jain for the People's Choice Award, Kopal Mathur for the runner-up award, and Sadaf Aimin Khan as our winner of this year's UQIDAR 3MT competition. The quality of your pictures is proof that UQIDAR has attracted some of the brightest and most talented higher degree research students from around the world. I'd like to also take this opportunity to thank our incredible judges and panels of judges, and also for their insights, which they've just shared with us this afternoon on their approach to the competition and suggestions to the competitors today. Professor Helen Klebe, Professor Purnima Singh, and Professor Ali Haider. We're so grateful to you for taking the time to lend your expertise and give your valuable insights to our PhD scholars. I hope you found today to be a valuable opportunity to share knowledge, take on feedback, and form valuable connections with your peers. For anyone who is joining us today who is contemplating undertaking a PhD, we encourage you to consider applying for the UQIDAR PhD program. We're currently accepting applications until the 17th of October. And please feel free to join us for one of our information sessions next week or contact us for more information. Thank you again to everyone for attending today's event, and we look forward to seeing you again at next year's UQIDAR 3MT competition. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon.